Chapter 1. Even if we meet, we should not recognize each other. It was snowing heavily that year, and the white snow and red walls complemented each other. I stood under the city gate and looked in the direction of Lynn Mansion for the last time, and then, like all the beautiful ladies, I disappeared into the palace wall. The person who entered the palace with me was the maid Pear, whom I had grown up with since childhood. This girl was young, and her eyes were wandering over the magnificent palace. "Miss, there is no one here. It's so cold, but it's so beautiful." Yes, the wealth and honor of the heavenly family, no matter how cold it is to the bone, still shines so brightly. At the feet of the emperor, a wrong step can lead to an abyss. You are mine. If you say the wrong thing, the Lin family will suffer disaster. I gave Pear a cryptic look, and Pear shuddered and carefully retracted his head. "Miss, let's go quickly. We will meet with the Holy Emperor later, but we must not make any mistakes. The beautiful ladies are waiting at Chusho Palace right now. If we go quickly, we can still have a few words with them." Pear took the hand stove that was already a little cold from my hand and replaced it with a new one. Although the charcoal in this hand stove is mixed with pear wood, I still don't like the smell. "I'm not very cold." I put the hand stove back into Pear's hand casually. "We don't need to walk so fast. The beautiful scenery is rare. We only walk this road once in our life. It's better to walk slowly and enjoy the snow." Although Pear was nervous, I had no intention of making friends with any beautiful girls. For those showgirls, this is an election that only happens once every 3 years. It is an important event that they have been looking forward to day and night since they were born, so they naturally take it seriously. But for me, the draft is a disaster. I just want to skip it and don't pay attention to it. So I just dressed up according to the etiquette. Although the moon-white splendid clothes did not lose my dignity, it did not steal the limelight among the beautiful ladies surrounded by flowers. Even the jewelry is made of a simplest white jade. Putting on a cloak and standing in the snow, it looks natural, almost transparent. Why is my sister still having such a bad temper after entering the palace? It reminds me of the past. A crisp laughter sounded behind me, and I was startled. Looking back, I saw a tall woman in a red cloak walking quickly behind me, with a gentle and friendly smile on her face. This woman's words made me feel like she was a close friend of mine, but when I looked up and down, I saw that this girl's face was as beautiful as jade, with a large gem hanging on her head, and the cloak on her body was also rich and red, but it couldn't suppress the beauty in her eyebrows. Such a woman will definitely be remembered for life, but I didn't have the slightest impression, so I couldn't help but ask softly, "Who is your sister?" 3 years ago, at the Mid-Autumn Festival Pear Blossom Night Banquet, you and I were both drunk, and we rushed to take a boat out to the Hori Reservoir to pick the last bunch of lotus flowers in the autumn. As a result, my brother took me back and made me kneel down. The woman's eyes could not conceal her surprise. Is it possible that my sister has forgotten such an experience? I also found it interesting to hear him talk about these past events. Unexpectedly, under her dignified and steady appearance, this woman also did drunken swimming in a lake. But I really didn't know at this time, so I had to apologize to her and smile. I was seriously ill last year and have been ill in the middle of summer. Maybe I was confused by the fever, and I have forgotten many things in the past. I have no memory of such a good time. The woman was stunned when she heard this. Her eyes filled with concern, and she quickly stepped forward to hold my hand. Such a big thing happened to my sister, and I didn't know it. I should have gone to see my sister a long time ago. Seeing her frown, I couldn't help but feel warm in my heart and smiled slightly. Sister, no wonder. This disease almost took away half of my sister's life. Huai Sheng has forgotten many things. Even my sister's name can't be remembered. My father, Lu Jifan, of Shuzhong Prefecture, I am the eldest daughter of the family, Jianxua. After saying this, Lu Jianshua's eyes paused, and my expression was as usual. I guess she also knew that I didn't remember anything because of her words, and she couldn't help but look a little lonely. There were crowds of beauties inside and outside the Chusho Palace. Lu Jianxua pointed to the crowd over there and said, Today's election, my sister is dressed so plainly. Although it suits the scenery, my sister also knows that your beauty disdains to compete with common things. But it is not possible if you want to be selected. Look at the one over there. With his head full of pearls and emeralds, although it is tacky, it is really dazzling. I followed her gaze and saw that the arrogant woman was none other than Chu Shirong, the daughter of Chu Mang, the governor of Guangdong and Guangxi, who made a joke some time ago because of her durian tribute. Although she was already well known in Beijing, she didn't seem to care much about it. The inappropriate yueying gauze she wore showed off her family's wealth. The governor of Guangdong and Guangxi didn't know how much hope he had in this daughter. He probably dug out all the treasures in the house and put them on her without falling off the ground. Chu Shirong stood in the courtyard in bright clothes, which really amused a group of people. Lu Jinxue and I were chatting one after another, and Chu Shirong screamed, scaring both of us so much that we frowned. "Why are you on the job? My clothes are so expensive, and you can't even afford to lose your head. Why are you rushing in like this?" It seems to be a common story that a maid collides with the most passionate young master, and neither Lu Jinxue nor I looked back. The palace maid just received a scolding. If we came forward, we would probably make things worse. I turned around in boredom and happened to see that the palace door of Chuxiu Palace had been slowly closed by the guards. It turned out that the hour had come. Once the door is closed, this year's showgirls who failed to catch up will no longer be able to come in. If there are any late ones, they will be fined and not allowed to enter the draft for 3 years. Just when the palace door was about to close completely, a slender figure flashed in and fell to the ground. Before the guard could react, she had already struggled to crawl forward several steps. I stood up quickly, and Lu Jinxue obviously noticed it and whispered in my ear. I saw that she was dressed in tatters, and she was not riding in a carriage reserved for beautiful ladies. I am afraid that someone from the palace may have entered by mistake. I knew Lu Jinxue was trying to persuade me not to meddle in the person's identity, whose identity was still unclear. But my heart tightened when I saw the girl being grabbed and dragged by the guards and struggling in the heavy snow. I wonder if the girl's flesh was scratched by the bricks and stones, leaving bloody traces on the ground. The girl trembled as if she suddenly realized something and grabbed a red thing from her sleeve and waved it in her hand. The guard didn't even look at it. He probably thought that this girl had no identity at all. When I looked back, I saw that none of the beautiful ladies were paying attention to this. They were all preparing to welcome the holy driver, and I immediately made up my mind to go to her. Lu Jinxue actually followed me, her eyebrows a little nervous. She was really sincere to me. When they arrived at the palace gate, the guards looked at each other in confusion and finally came over to salute. No need. Most of my mind was on that girl, and I saw that her clothes were in tatters, but if you look closely, there was a face with a picturesque face hidden between the messy hair. Lu Jinxue had already taken the document from the guard's hand and looked at the leading guard with a frown. Isn't this a truly beautiful girl selected by Jiang and Mansion? Why do you dare to stop her? This. The guard faltered and couldn't answer, but Pear behind me interrupted. Which beautiful girl would be so dirty? Miss, do you think she is a beggar girl who stole someone else's documents and got in? Chapter 2. I've never relied on red makeup by mistake. Pear. I was a little angry. This girl's words were really bad. Who can bear the charge of impersonating a beautiful girl? Don't say that this girl won't take such a big risk and force her way into the palace. I will punish you severely even if you say such unfounded words. Pear turned blue with fright. She was used to being carefree in the house. This was the first time I lost my temper with her. Brother guard, this is all my servant's fault, so please don't make any noise. Let me just send this girl to Aunt Jiaoying so that you don't have to worry about it again, and I will be considered guilty. I put a pair of jade bracelets into the guard's hands while no one was paying attention, and Lu Jinxue and I took the girl and left in a hurry. The guard hesitated to speak, but finally didn't say anything. Lu Jinxue and I looked at each other and brought the child into the deserted side hall. As soon as the door was closed, she threw herself at our feet and kowtowed violently. Thank you both for your life-saving grace. If you hadn't taken action, how could those guards have cared about my wrongdoing? It's a great kindness. I will definitely repay you like a cow in the future. You get up first. Lu Jianxue was not at ease and kept looking outside to see if anyone was paying attention. I turned to her and said calmly, "What's your name?" "My name is Wen Shuyuan." The girls started to cry. I had a long journey from Jiangnan to Beijing. Unexpectedly, I met gangsters on the way, and everyone accompanying me was killed. It was my aunt who pushed me out with all her strength. "Stop talking, you're so scared of people. No one in the palace can harm you anymore." I patted her shoulder gently to comfort her, but I still had some doubts. Lu Jianxue and I looked at each other and seemed to feel the same way. Why did she tell everything about herself when we didn't ask her anything? However, what she said was sincere, and I didn't want to overestimate it. I just assumed that she had no one to rely on, and it was normal for a half-grown girl to be frightened when encountering such a thing. "I'll borrow some clothes for you. You should change into them immediately, otherwise you might miss the opportunity to meet the Holy Spirit." Lu Jianxue walked out with me, wondering, "Who are you going to borrow clothes from at this time? We are all opponents. It would be polite not to add insult to injury at this time." "Guess, sister?" I lowered my eyes and smiled. Pear, who I pointed out earlier, had already returned with the package. I opened the package, and the gold-threaded red cloud coat and skirt inside was so dazzling that even Lu Jianxue was surprised. "It's really a good thing." When these words came out, she immediately realized something. "I asked why your family allowed you to wear such plain clothes to run for election. It turns out that it was you who caused trouble and hid what you prepared at home." I nodded, sighing secretly. This Lu Jianxue is really amazing. "Miss, you just met. Why bother giving her such a big benefit?" Pear was reluctant to leave, so I tapped her forehead. "Go quickly." After washing, Wen Shuyuan was already a graceful beauty, and she looked even more dazzling when she put on this dress. As soon as she saw me coming in, she immediately knelt down again. "Young lady is so kind and kind. I will never forget my embroidered Mandarin duck." "Sister, you and I are the same people. How can we give such a great gift?" I quickly helped her up and joked, "My sister is very talented and will definitely be selected. When the time comes, my sister will be favored by the Holy Family, and she must say a few good words for me." Lu Jianxue looked at Wen Shuyuan, a beauty as weak as a willow tree, and couldn't help but express admiration. "My sister's skin is better than snow, and the golden red color complements each other perfectly. I really have met a wonderful person." Then he took off a pair of ruby earrings and put them on for her. This is the love between a famous lady and a beautiful woman. The emperor will definitely like it when he sees it. Sister is joking. My sister's appearance is much inferior to the two elder sisters. When Shuyuan blushed, and before she could finish her hesitant words, I quickly pulled her out. "I'll talk about your heartfelt words later. The palace election will begin soon." Sure enough, as soon as we pushed the door open, the eunuch shouted from outside, "The draft is about to begin. Girls, get ready for the interview." The beautiful ladies were lined up in 2 rows and walked into the East Side Hall with their heads bowed. The father-in-law led them one by one to the Xinhuan Pavilion to meet the Holy Master. The nuns and father-in-law in the palace were discussing something in low voices. This quiet atmosphere made these little girls feel worried. Fortunately, the quiet atmosphere did not last long. The father-in-law in charge clapped his hands, and the first beautiful girl had been led into the Xinhuan Pavilion. I was a little bored waiting there. To put it bluntly, I was just filling in, not that cautious. But I am a little curious, what will this true dragon emperor look like? Just as I was thinking about it, a snowflake suddenly blew in through the open window, and I quietly caught it with my sleeves. It turned out to be 6 complete petals, crystal clear, and really cute. Maybe I was watching so intently that I burst out laughing. Lu Jianxue was right next to me, shaking up the coral bracelet in her hand and surprising me. "What are you thinking about?" I lowered my head again, and the snowflake had turned into a drop of water. I had no choice but to change the subject and tease her. I was wondering if the emperor had to be pushed down to sleep on his back when he was a child, resulting in a flat head. Lu Jianxue almost laughed out loud, but fortunately, she had strong determination to hold it back. My dear, why do you tell such a joke about decapitation? Our whispers were interrupted by the father-in-law of the consul, who had just come out of the Nuan pavilion. He was twirling the roster and calling the names one by one. Lu Yao, Yang Shui, Xia Huichun, Zhang Luer. Please, these 4 girls, follow me to the front. The aunt standing aside read the same words again, and the 4 beautiful girls were identified and followed the father-in-law in. The father-in-law seemed to have said a few words on the way. I don't know how many pairs of ears stood up at this moment. Everyone was afraid of what fate would give the correct answer. The hall was in chaos for a moment, and then was stopped by the nanny. Everyone was secretly nervous, adjusting their clothes or playing with jewelry. Only I raised my head, wondering when another snowflake would happen to fly. Chapter 3. Only the long night finally opens its eyes. In Qin, Lu Jianxue, Lin Huaixing, when Xu Yuan come to see. Is it my turn? When I looked up, there were only a few of us left in the hall. And Qin, the only one I didn't recognize, had already stepped forward. I also walked up quickly, my manners dignified, and I didn't lose any courtesy. I just don't know if Qin was too nervous. When she walked out of the hall, her foot slipped. I hurriedly got out of the way, but she was fine. I actually sat down in the snow that had been trampled by people coming and going. Lu Jianxue quickly helped me up, looked behind me, and took a breath of cold air. Oh no, such a heavy mud flower cannot be covered up no matter what. Father-in-law, can you let me, my sister, change into some clothes? How can we afford to delay such a big event? The eunuch was obviously panicked, but the 4 of us were already the last group. Even if we wanted to change people, there was nothing we could do to buy me some time. When Xu Yuan looked at me and muttered something about something, but in the end he didn't. That's it. I gritted my teeth. I'll stand in the middle later. If my sister can block me, that's all. If not, I guess the emperor won't ask me to turn around in a circle to show him, right? This kind of thing is at worst impossible to choose, but if the emperor thinks that I have behaved improperly in front of the palace, I am afraid that the entire Lin family will be dragged down. I entered the Xinyuan pavilion with my heart full of thoughts, and a warm fragrance hit me. Although the door was wide open, the room was still as warm as spring flowers in bloom, which really made me feel the luxury of the royal family. But according to etiquette, I couldn't raise my head, so I could only stare at the 3 smooth bluestone floor tiles in front of me. These daughters are all smart and beautiful. A gentle female voice came, followed closely by a male voice. Yes. I was surprised when I heard this voice. Although the man only responded casually, the voice was clear and clear. It turned out that the emperor was only 30 years old. Raise your face, the eunuch ordered in a sharp voice. I lowered my eyes and raised my head with my eyes closed. The emperor could not look directly at him. He could only look at him quietly. I am a little helpless. If I am really chosen, I will have to be honest with you in the future. Why is the emperor so shy? Does he look ugly? Thinking like this, I subconsciously flashed my eyes and took a clear look at the emperor's face. What I didn't expect was that he was so handsome that even a quick glance at him made him feel stunning. Also, I secretly thought, aren't the queens and queens all chosen in this way? It would be weird if the emperor didn't look good. But this has nothing to do with me. Anyway, I don't want to accompany you for the rest of my life. When I leave the hall today, I will say goodbye to the Forbidden City forever. Thinking of this, I couldn't help but feel a little excited. My eyes turned on the shadow reflected on the floor, and a voice without any emotion or anger hit me on the head. Lin Huaixing. The emperor's cold voice called my name, which made me freeze up in fright. I quickly knelt down and replied, Your Majesty, she is the daughter of the people. Well, she really looks like you. There was a hint of endearment in the emperor's voice, and I felt relieved. I thought the water stains behind me had been discovered, and I also thought that the emperor was too sharp-eyed. If he casually said that I had violated the rules in front of the palace, I was afraid that blood would be splashed on the spot. When you said that, I realized that this girl looks a lot like Sister Nanua, doesn't she? She has a more calm feeling. The queen responded hard at the side. In fact, I am not that similar to the emperor's favorite Aunt Lin Nanua. Being calm, sensible, and understanding the general situation is the best. The emperor smiled slightly. It just so happens that you are here to help me coax you air. That girl has been playing tricks with me for 2 days. Let her family enter the palace. Maybe she will be happy for a few days. After hearing this, I felt like I didn't recognize every word. The old eunuch who was guarding the side quickly stepped forward, brought the tray with flowers to me, and said with a flattering smile, "Congratulations to my young master." What's the meaning? Do you want me to enter the palace? Do you want me to be his concubine? I was a little confused, and I looked up at the emperor, regardless of etiquette. I just had to go through the motions, but I never thought about entering this golden cage and being a pet that could only spend its entire life trying to please its owner. What's more, this man's reason for asking me to enter the palace is such a childish thing as making you air happy for a few days. I'm not even a plaything, just a toy used to amuse pets. I was shaking all over and had trouble breathing several times. Finally, I closed my eyes and lowered my head. Thank you, Your Majesty, for your kindness, and thank you, the Queen, for your kindness. I stood back to Lu Jianxue calmly. She seemed to have said something to me, but she seemed not to have said anything. The scenery around me changed again and again, but in front of me there was only the palace flower that I took from the eunuch, symbolizing that I already belonged to the heavenly family. How could I resist? To put it nicely, it's the Lin family's wealth and grace. To put it badly, it means that the life and death of the family are all hanging by a thread during my election today. How could I resist? When I came to my senses, I no longer knew where I was. My feet were deep and shallow, and I fell to the ground again. What's wrong with my sister? But she's so happy? Lu Jianxue hurriedly covered it up for me, but there was a warning in his eyes. He was still so devastated after being selected. If anyone knew about it, the outcome would not be good. Sister, why did you fall again? When Xu Yuan rushed to my side, trying to take off her clothes, I will give this back to my sister. Otherwise, I will make people laugh when I go out dirty. No need. Lu Jianxue pushed her hand away lightly. It's important to go home immediately. The eunuch who announced the decree has already gone. When they arrive with gongs and drums, we won't have time to thank them. That will be a loss of dignity. After, when Xu Yuan listened obediently, he took my hand again, as if he was so happy, with tears still hanging on his cheeks. He held my hand and kept shaking it. Sister, the emperor was in a good mood just now after asking you to enter the palace. He asked all 4 of us to enter the palace with just 1 finger. Sister Lu deserves it, but I am entirely because of your blessing. It's good that you can enter the palace. From now on, we sisters are of one mind, and we can be considered a caregiver in this palace. I forced a smile on my face, staggered down the steps, and could no longer hear the voices next to me. Yes, the eunuch who announced the decree is gone, and everything is a foregone conclusion.